All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Thrilling 30 Nightbeat, who's a decent figure. He was a repaint of a like an IDW-esque Bumblebee figure of the time that was like really meant to look like how IDW Bumblebee looked at that time. And yeah, it kind of works for Nightbeat. I mean, it turns into a car and is now blue and has the flames or whatever, but there's really nothing about it that actually screams Nightbeat. I do hope that we get a like an updated Nightbeat figure in the near future, which honestly I'm sure that they will. But yeah, it'll just take them a little time to get to it, but it's a decent looking car mode, all things considered. It definitely has like very kind of comic-y proportions, like with the big dramatic like bent hood here, which looks kind of cool. Now he does have like painted windows in the back to like sort of match the clear blue plastic windows, but because he's also blue, like it kind of blends in, and like even the plastic itself has like kind of a pearlescence to it, so the sort of like shimmery blue like paint there doesn't really make that much of an impact, but yeah, he rolls not amazing, but okay. Obviously he's got his chest down there, which like on Bumblebee was definitely meant to be a fake part, but honestly like doesn't bother me all that much, even though fake parts usually do bother me, because it really does look nothing like the the hood of the car. So yeah, whatever. And the original Nightbeat design, like his chest wasn't actually the hood of the car. He just had like some internal techie bit chest. So obviously it could be more Nightbeat accurate, but we'll talk about that in robot mode. But yeah, decent looking car mode. There's a few spots where like the yellow paint could definitely have used another pass, like especially in the back tailpipes here. They're very green and like don't even like cover the full tailpipes there. But yeah, he comes with these weapons, which definitely were meant to be like IDW Bumblebee's weapons, but they're kind of cool. They tab together like this, and then they have this sort of like four-pronged kind of like a fiery thing going out there, which I guess was supposed to be like electricity, kind of like Stingers-y type stuff for the Bumblebee version, where it just kind of looks like, I don't know, blue fire or ice here. And in terms of storage, obviously, it's a big ridiculous weapon. There's nowhere it can actually store like internally in the vehicle mode. You are supposed to just like take these pegs and tab it onto the side here, which I guess looks kind of neat as like a weaponed up car mode, but obviously does not function as like, robots in disguise storage, because what are these? But it's kind of a neat effect there. But yeah, no, I personally, I don't really think that this weapon like screams Nightbeat, so I just kind of leave this off to the side and put it in a box. But that's how these are supposed to function. In terms of a comparison in this mode, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see what the two of them look like together. They more or less scale well enough. And then yeah, in terms of transformation, he's got a couple neat tricks here. Basically, you want to take the entire front of the car and just sort of like separate it into these three sections, and then the doors will kind of untab past this section here, and then you can take this whole section and just kind of double hinge it down out to the side. You can take the front hood of the car and double hinge that up. Take the roof, it will untab from like between the legs here, and then you can take the legs, separate them, and then rotate them down like this at the knees. And then his feet are just back here, kind of like sandwiched into the roof of the car. So you kind of, they get a little bit stuck sometimes, but just undo those and kind of fold them down. And then you want to take this whole section with the like chest there and just slide it down on the body to reveal the head. And then you can take the hood of the car here, and it does sort of tab into the place in the backpack here. It does kind of end up like as a messy, weird backpack, but it's not the end of the world. And then you're supposed to take the doors here. They'll rotate up on these shoulder bits like this, and then double hinge back like this to sort of replicate the like door wing aesthetic of Bumblebee, at least that he had at the time, but it's neither really here nor there for Nightbeat. But yeah, there he is in his robot mode. And yeah, you can already see one of my my main issues with this guy. which is that just the leg joints in general, both the knees and the ankles, have just a little bit too much give to them. So he does tend to kind of like wobble around. Like you can definitely get him standing up straight and it's totally fine. But you know, it's just a little bit more wobbly than I'd like it to be. But otherwise, he's a decent looking robot. Like I said, nothing that like really screams Nightbeat aside from the new head sculpt here. Obviously, he's not a headmaster anymore because he also wasn't in the comics, and they weren't really doing headmasters proper yet at this point. I think that Thrilling 30 Brainstorm was like the first one that they, you know, did again. That was the same year. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head is just on a swivel here, so it can rotate around like that. The shoulders can rotate around like this. They do bring the doors with them, which, you know, kind of messes with the whole like door wing aesthetic, but whatever. They can also hinge out to the side. He's got a bicep swivel right above the elbow. 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, nothing at the wrists. Those are just like painted parts of the you know, forearms there. He does have a waist joint, though the backpack, the way that it like naturally sits does kind of like mess with that. And I really don't like the shape of this, like how this one in like central panel just like sticks up right between his legs and these two bits stick out in the back. It's just kind of like messy and awkward looking. But yeah, he does have a waist joint. He's got ball joints at the hips, which can go forward and back as much as the backpack will allow, about that far out to the side. He's got a thigh swivel. He does have a double jointed knee. Well, I guess technically it's, yeah, no, it's only really a single joint, but it has to fold up like that for, you know, transformation. But the knees on mine, unfortunately, are very loose. Like they kind of like catch themselves at a certain point, but they are very floppy, which is really annoying. And then the ankles are, they've got a couple joints here. They're on like a ball joint up here, so they can rotate around and then kind of tilt forward and back. And then he's got this separate joint here to kind of like tilt back, which is really more for transformation. But so the only really ankle tilt you're getting is like from the ball joint, which doesn't have a tremendous range. So it doesn't really have like any meaningful like ankle pivot there. But yeah, and obviously, you know, again, because this was based on the IDW Bumblebee design, he's got a few sort of like built-in fake parts, like, you know, the tips of his toes are obviously not the tail lights. He doesn't have wheels right here, and you can see all four wheels. It drives me nuts when they do that, when they add like extra fake wheels to the vehicle mode. But at least with him, they're not painted in, so it's kind of ignorable. And again, it's not like based on any Nightbeat design that would have to have those things in those places. So, you know, but yeah, he's okay looking. Like I said, it's just like it, you know, it doesn't really scream Nightbeat, all things considered, which is, you know, aside from the head sculpt, like they could have at least redone the chest, I feel like, to be the more classic Nightbeat chest, but it's fine. Obviously we can give him his weapons here. Because they have these like folding pegs, you can have him hold it as like one big unit like that, or you can have him, you know, they flip around so you can have the like pretty side on top rather than him having to hold it with like all the ugly interior stuff on top. And you can plug those on there. Like that, there's no real meaningful storage because, I mean, you could have them just pegged on to where they were in vehicle mode and just kind of hanging off the legs. He does have ports on the back of his arms, so you could do that or that, I guess. But, you know, it's not like incredible. But like I said, I just kind of put these off the side and keep them in a box. They're a neat looking weapon. I just don't think that they really, again, like scream Nightbeat to me. And yeah, in terms of comparison in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe. So you can see pretty much an average size deluxe there. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about Thrilling 30 Nightbeat. He is an okay figure that I think, you know, suffers from some loose joints, suffers from trying to stay accurate to a comic book design that is not even him. So yeah, he's not an amazing figure. He's an okay stand-in for Nightbeat for now, but I would definitely hope that they do like a proper Generations Nightbeat at some point. I don't really care if he's a headmaster, honestly, but like, because they did the new Minerva, which was originally a repaint of Nightbeat, but I don't think that they would use that, like the female body type, for a new version of Nightbeat. I think that they'd probably just make him his own separate figure, especially because like the proportions of that figure are much more based on how Minerva looked in the like in the anime where Nightbeat obviously didn't look like that, so they kind of have become their own entities. But yeah, he's okay. My main problem with him is really just like the floppiness, and the rest of it is like he's a decent enough figure, just not what you'd necessarily want as a definitive version of the character. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I think I'm gonna drop the Sunday videos at the end of the month. So just for February, I'll keep doing Sunday videos, and then just go down to 2 reviews a week after that. Just because I've talked about it. I don't get like even 2, but I don't get 3 new things a week. So I'm just kind of starting to run out of back stock of like old figures that I haven't reviewed yet, or at least things that I want to review. So I want to slow that roll down a little bit. But yeah, that's neither here nor there for him. But yeah, without further ado, here we have Transformers Generations Thrilling 30 Nightbeat.